The Boy Who Smells Like Hope. Bell Cranel's group had been preparing for their dive into the deeper floors of the dungeon for 3 days now, but something felt different this morning. The air in Orario carried an unusual tension, a mix of anticipation and unease that Bell couldn't quite place. It wasn't the normal pre-dungeon jitters that he'd grown accustomed to over the past months. No, this was something else entirely. Goddess, are you sure about this? I mean, the letter said he was recommended by the guild, but... The white-haired adventurer stood at the entrance of their small church home, reading and rereading the mysterious missive that had arrived 3 days prior. His crimson eyes scanned the elegant handwriting with growing confusion. Hestia, his goddess and the head of his two-person familia, sat on her usual spot, her twin tails bouncing as she leaned forward with an interested expression. Hestia, Bell, you worry too much. The guild wouldn't send someone dangerous to join our familia, would they? Besides, we could use the help if we're going to tackle those middle floors you've been eyeing. I know, but a warrior from the Far East who hunts demons? That sounds like something out of a fairy tale. And why would someone like that need to join our familia? We're not exactly the most prestigious. Hey, we may be small, but we're mighty. And you're a level 2 now, remember? That's nothing to sneeze at for someone who's only been adventuring for a few months. Bell scratched the back of his head, a nervous habit that his goddess had grown fond of over their time together. The letter was strange, no doubt about it. But what really bothered him wasn't the content, it was the timing. Just 3 days ago, reports had started circulating through Orario about strange occurrences in the dungeon. Monsters that moved differently, shadows that shouldn't exist. Adventurers coming back with stories of creatures that didn't match any known species in the guild's extensive records. And then there was the smell. Bell had noticed it during his last dive. A scent that made his skin crawl, something that reminded him of rot and decay, but also of something human? It was unsettling in a way that normal monster stench wasn't. Wait, I think I hear someone outside. The sound of footsteps approaching their modest church caught Bell's attention. They were measured, purposeful steps, not the hurried gait of most adventurers rushing to the dungeon at dawn. Hestia hopped off her seat and straightened her white dress, suddenly looking very much like the goddess she was, rather than the carefree girl she usually acted like. Hestia, well then, let's meet our new familiar member. Bell, try to look more confident. First impressions matter. Yes, goddess. The door opened before either of them could reach it. Standing in the doorway was a young man who couldn't have been much older than Bell himself. He wore a distinctive checkered haori, green and black squares that seemed to shimmer slightly in the morning light. His hair was a deep burgundy, almost black, with a peculiar red tint at the tips. But what struck Bell immediately were his eyes, kind eyes, the color of wine, that somehow carried both warmth and an unfathomable sadness. And that smell, charcoal and something else, something that reminded Bell of mountain air and forest rain. Excuse me? Is this the Hestia familia? My name is Kamado Tanjiro. The guild told me to come here. His voice was gentle, polite to a fault. He bowed deeply, more deeply than anyone Bell had seen in Orario, where such formal manners were rare. Bell and Hestia exchanged glances. Oh, yes, come in. We've been expecting you. I'm Hestia, the goddess of this familia, and this is Bell Cranel, my first and currently only familia member. Nice to meet you, Kamado-san. Please come in. Tanjiro stepped inside, and Bell noticed immediately that he carried a large wooden box on his back, secured with sturdy straps and covered with a cloth. It looked heavy, yet the young man carried it with practiced ease. Thank you for accepting me. I know this must be unusual, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I have a lot to explain, but first, may I ask, do you know anything about demons? The question hung in the air like a blade. Bell's confusion deepened. Demons? In Orario, monsters came from the dungeon. Everyone knew that. The term demon was usually reserved for folk tales and scary stories told to children. But the seriousness in Tanjiro's expression suggested this was no joke. Demons? You mean like monsters from the dungeon? No, not exactly. Where I come from, demons are creatures that were once human. They're created by a being of pure evil, and they feed on human flesh to survive. They're incredibly strong, nearly immortal, and can only be killed by sunlight or a special blade forged from a particular ore. He reached for his side, and Bell tensed instinctively. But Tanjiro only revealed a beautiful katana with a black blade that seemed to absorb the light around it. This is a Nichiren blade. It's the only weapon besides sunlight that can kill a demon. I've been hunting them for a long time now. My entire family was killed by demons, and my younger sister was turned into one. I've been searching for a way to turn her back into a human. The raw emotion in his voice, the pain, the determination, struck something in Bell's heart. This wasn't the voice of someone spinning tales. This was real suffering. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. But, why come to Arario? And why the dungeon? Tanjiro's expression became even more serious, if that was possible. Because 3 weeks ago, I tracked the demon who killed my family, a creature named Muzan Kibutsuji, to this city. He's the progenitor of all demons, the source of their curse. And I have reason to believe he's hiding somewhere in your dungeon. What? The dungeon? That's impossible. The dungeon is monitored constantly. The Guild would know if something like that was down there. Would they? Tell me. Have there been any strange reports lately? Monsters acting differently? Shadows where there shouldn't be shadows? Adventurers disappearing without a trace? Bill felt his blood run cold. The reports, the strange occurrences, that smell he'd noticed. There have been some odd things, but the Guild said it was just new monster variants. They said it wasn't anything to worry about. I'm afraid they're wrong. Muzan has the ability to create demons, lots of them. If he's established himself in your dungeon, he could be building an army that could one day spill out into this city and slaughter everyone. The room fell into heavy silence. Hestia's usual cheerful demeanor had completely vanished, replaced by the grave countenance of a goddess who understood the weight of such a threat. Bell, what do you think? Bell looked at Tanjiro, really looked at him. At the calluses on his hands, the subtle scars visible on his neck, the way he held himself like someone who'd seen far too much horror for his age. But also at the kindness in his eyes, the gentle way he bowed, the obvious grief he carried for his lost family. This person wasn't lying. Bell's instincts, the same instincts that had kept him alive in the dungeon, told him that much. I think we need to investigate. If there's even a chance that something that dangerous is in the dungeon, we can't ignore it. People could die. Lots of people.
Thank you. I know this is a lot to ask, especially from strangers, but I can't do this alone. The dungeon is unlike anything I've ever faced before, and I need people who understand it. In return, I'll teach you everything I know about fighting demons, because if Muzan is really down there, you'll need it.
Hestia stood up and walked over to Tanjiro, looking up at him with surprising intensity despite her small stature.
All right, Tanjiro. I'll make you a deal. Join my familia officially. Let me give you my falna so you can grow stronger in this world. In return, you help Bell navigate these middle floors he's been wanting to explore, and together, you two investigate these demons you're talking about. If they're real, we report to the Guild. If they're not, well, at least we'll have gotten stronger in the process.
Deal? Tanjiro's expression softened into genuine gratitude, and for the first time since entering, he smiled. Tanjiro, deal. Thank you, Hestia-sama. I won't let you down. Hestia, great, then let's get you registered. Bell, prepare some tea while I update Tanjiro's status. This is so exciting. Our familiar is growing. As Hestia led Tanjiro to the back room where she could bestow her blessing, Bell moved mechanically toward their small kitchen area, his mind racing. Demons in the dungeon. A demon king named Muzan. An entire hidden threat that the guild might not even be aware of. What had they just agreed to? This is going to be complicated, isn't it? He whispered this to himself, but somehow he felt like he'd just taken the first step on a much longer journey than any dungeon dive he'd planned. 2 hours later, Bell and Tanjiro found themselves walking through the bustling streets of Arario toward the dungeon entrance. The morning crowd was thick with adventurers, some returning from night dives, others just beginning their day. The energy was palpable, that unique mixture of excitement and fear that defined life in the Labyrinth City. So, Tanjiro-san, about that box you're carrying. You noticed. I'm sorry if it seems strange. Inside is my sister, Nezuko. Your sister? The one who was turned into a demon? Several nearby adventurers turned to look at Bell's outburst, and he quickly lowered his voice. Sorry, but you mean she's actually in there, right now? Yes, Nezuko is different from other demons. She's never eaten a human, and she can survive without consuming human flesh. During the day, she sleeps in this box because sunlight would kill her. But at night, or in dark places like your dungeon, she can come out and help us. That's incredible. She must be very strong to resist her demon instincts like that. She is. She's the strongest person I know. Everything I do for her, to find a way to turn her back into human. That's why finding Muzan is so important. He's the only one who might know how to break the demon curse. Bell felt a surge of respect for Tanjiro. He understood that kind of dedication. He'd seen it in himself when he thought about becoming stronger to stand beside Eyes Wallenstein, or when he pushed himself to protect his goddess and friends. But Tanjiro's burden seemed so much heavier. To carry your transformed sister on your back while hunting the very creature that cursed her? That took a level of determination Bell could only aspire to. I'll help you. We'll help you. The whole familia. We'll find this Muzan, and we'll find a way to save your sister. Bell-san? Tanjiro stopped walking, and for a moment, Bell thought he might cry. But instead, the Demon Slayer simply bowed deeply once more. Thank you. Truly, thank you. No need to thank me. We're family now, right? We look out for each other. Before Tanjiro could respond, a familiar voice called out from behind them. Bell-kun, is that you? Both boys turned to see a tall, elegant figure approaching. A woman with silver hair and golden eyes that seemed to shine with inner light. She wore a white and black outfit that marked her as an adventurer of considerable standing. Bell's face immediately turned bright red. Ai-san, good morning. Eyes Wallenstein, the Sword Princess, one of Oreario's strongest adventurers and the person Bell admired most in the world, approached with her characteristic expressionless face. But Bell had learned to read the subtle shifts in her features, and right now, she looked curious? Her golden eyes were fixed on Tanjiro with an intensity that made the Demon Slayer unconsciously straighten his posture. This is Tanjiro. He just joined our familia today. Tanjiro-san, this is Eyes Wallenstein-san of the Loki familia. It's an honor to meet you, Wallenstein-san. He bowed, and Eyes tilted her head slightly, a gesture Bell found adorable but was too nervous to acknowledge. You smell different. Huh? You can smell it too? You have a very sharp nose, Wallenstein-san. Most people don't notice. You smell like mountains and fire, but also something else, something I don't recognize. Tanjiro smiled, seemingly pleased that someone could detect the subtle sense he carried. That's probably the charcoal. I used to sell charcoal with my family before everything happened. And the fire might be from my breathing style. It's a technique I use in combat. Breathing style? Now even Bell was confused. Tanjiro had mentioned this before, but what exactly was a breathing style? It's a bit complicated to explain. Basically, it's a way of controlling your breathing to enhance your physical abilities far beyond normal human limits. There are different styles: water, thunder, flame, stone, and others. I primarily use water breathing, though I've also developed my own style called Hinokami Kagura. Can you teach me? The request was so direct, so earnest, that both Belle and Tanjiro were taken aback. Ai-san wants to learn from Tanjiro-san? If it makes you stronger, I want to learn it. Tanjiro looked at the sword princess with renewed interest. He could sense something in her, a desperation to grow stronger that mirrored his own. Whatever her reasons, they ran deep. I'd be happy to teach you what I can, Wallenstein-san. Though I should warn you, breathing styles are incredibly difficult to master. It took me years of training.
That's fine. I'll work hard.
Ai-san, are you heading to the dungeon too?
Yes, expedition to the 50th floor. We leave in an hour.
The 50th floor? That's incredible. Excuse me, but what exactly are these floors you keep mentioning? The guild tried to explain, but I'm still not entirely clear on how the dungeon works. Belle and Ace exchanged glances, and for once, Belle felt like he had knowledge that even Ace might not need to explain. Oh, right, you're new to Oriario. Okay, so the dungeon is divided into floors, basically levels that go deeper and deeper underground. Each floor has different monsters, different environments, and gets progressively more dangerous. The upper floors, floors 1 through 12, are considered relatively safe for beginner adventurers. The middle floors, 13 through 24, are where things get really dangerous. And the lower floors beyond that, well, only the strongest adventurers can survive down there.
I see. And this expedition to the 50th floor? That must be very deep then.
Very deep, very dangerous, many monsters. Belkun, how far are you going today?
We're planning to explore the 13th floor. It'll be my first time on the middle floors.
Ace's expression shifted, just slightly, but enough for Belle to notice. Was that concern? Be careful. Middle floors are different. Stronger monsters. More of them. Don't get overconfident. I won't. I'll be careful. And besides, I have Tanjiro-san with me now. She looked at Tanjiro again, and this time her gaze lingered on his Nichiren blade. That sword. It's well made. Can I see it? Tanjiro. Of course. He drew the black blade smoothly, a motion so fluid and practiced that Belle could tell this sword was practically an extension of Tanjiro's body. The blade seemed to drink in the morning light, its surface dark as midnight. Eyes leaned closer, her eyes sharp with professional interest. The balance is perfect. And this color, I've never seen metal like this. What is it made of? It's called Nichiren steel. It's forged from ore that's absorbed sunlight from the highest mountains. The blade changes color based on the wielder. Mine turned black when I first held it. It's beautiful. Coming from Eyes, who wielded the legendary sword Desperate, that was high praise indeed. Belle, Ai-san, we should probably head to the dungeon. We don't want to keep your familiar waiting. You're right. Belle-kun, Tanjiro-san, be safe today. If you encounter anything strange on the 13th floor, run. Don't fight it. Come find me. Strange? Like what? I don't know. Just... With that cryptic warning, the sword princess continued on her way, leaving Belle and Tanjiro standing in the street with more questions than answers. Tanjiro. She's very strong, isn't she? I could sense it just from standing near her. Ace-san is amazing! She's a level 6, one of the strongest adventurers in all of Orario. She's my goal. I want to become strong enough to stand beside her one day. The passion in Belle's voice made Tanjiro smile warmly. That's a wonderful goal, Belle-san. Having someone to chase after, someone who inspires you to be better, that's one of the most important things a warrior can have. I felt the same way about my teacher, Urokodaki-san. Your teacher? Is he the one who taught you the breathing styles? Yes. He saved my life and trained me for 2 years on a mountain. Everything I know about fighting demons comes from him. I owe him everything." They continued walking toward the dungeon entrance, the massive tower that dominated Orario's skyline, known as Babel. The tower served as a lid of sorts, keeping the monsters from freely escaping the dungeon below. As they approached, Belle noticed more and more adventurers staring at them, or more specifically, at Tanjiro. His distinctive haori and the large box on his back made him stand out. And in a city of adventurers, standing out usually meant you were either very strong or very foolish. Belle hoped it was the former. "Tanjiro-san, are you nervous?" "Honestly, yes. I'm used to fighting demons, but this is completely different. Where I come from, demons appear in forests, villages, towns, places I understand. But a labyrinth that goes who knows how deep, filled with creatures I've never encountered, it's intimidating. I felt the same way my first time, but you get used to it. Well, you never fully get used to it, but you learn how to handle the fear. And hey, I'll be right there with you. Between your demon-slaying experience and my dungeon knowledge, we'll make a great team. Thank you, Belle-san. You know, Belle-san, you remind me of one of my friends, Zenitsu. He's always nervous too, but when it really matters, he's incredibly brave and reliable." "Really? I'm not sure about the brave part." "You are, I can tell. You have the smell of someone who faces his fears instead of running from them." They reached the entrance to Babel, where guild employees were checking adventurers in and out. Belle showed his identification, and they processed Tanjiro's temporary pass. A full adventurer card would come later, once his guild registration was complete. As they descended the stairs into the dungeon proper, Belle felt the familiar shift in atmosphere. The air grew cooler, damper. The sound of the outside world faded, replaced by the distant echoes of monsters and adventurers deeper below. "Welcome to the dungeon, Tanjiro-san. Stay close. Watch your step, and whatever you do, don't let your guard down. Not even for a second." "Understood. And Belle-san, thank you for trusting me, for helping me. I won't let you down." "I know you won't. Now come on, let's see what the 13th floor has in store for us." As they descended into the darkness together, neither of them could know that their meeting was not coincidence, but fate. That their combined strength would be needed for trials far greater than either could imagine. And somewhere, deep in the bowels of the dungeon, in shadows darker than any natural darkness, something ancient and evil stirred. Muzan Kibutsuji smiled. New toys had entered his domain. Chapter 2: The Scent of Malice. The first 12 floors of the dungeon passed without major incident. Belle led the way with practiced confidence, his knife and the short sword he'd purchased from the Hephaestus familia at the ready. Tanjiro followed close behind, his enhanced senses taking in every detail of their surroundings. "Belle-san, the walls here, they're almost alive, aren't they?" "Oh, you can sense that?" "Yeah, the dungeon is technically a living thing. It spawns monsters from the walls themselves. They just sort of appear. It's really creepy the first time you see it. That's incredible and terrifying. In my world, demons are created by Muzan through his blood, but this dungeon creates monsters on its own? What sustains it? Nobody really knows. The gods and scholars have theories, but the dungeon's been here longer than anyone can remember. Some say it has a will of its own, that it wants to destroy the surface. Others think it's just a natural phenomenon. Either way, it's dangerous. They encountered a group of goblins on the 9th floor, small, green-skinned creatures with crude weapons. To Belle's surprise, Tanjiro dispatched them with almost casual efficiency. Water-breathing, 6th form, whirlpool. His black blade traced a circular pattern through the air, creating what looked like an actual vortex of water, though Belle realized it must be some kind of visual effect from the sword technique. The goblins were cut down before they could even mount an attack. Whoa, that was amazing! And did I see water? Was that magic? Not exactly. The water isn't real. It's a visual representation of the technique. Breathing styles enhance our physical abilities and soar techniques to supernatural levels, but they're not magic in the traditional sense. It's all about breath control, focus, and years of training. That's so cool. Can you show me how to do it? Of course, but be warned, it's much harder than it looks. Even the most basic breathing style takes months to learn properly. Most people can't even master the basic breathing pattern. They continue deeper, with Bell explaining dungeon mechanics and Tanjiro sharing stories of his demon hunting experiences. Despite the dangerous environment, Bell found himself relaxing. There was something calming about Tanjiro's presence, an earnest kindness that reminded Bell of why he'd become an adventurer in the first place. To help people, to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Bell, Tanjiro-san, can I ask you something? Of course. Your sister, Nezuko, does it hurt? Carrying her like that, knowing she's so close but changed? Tanjiro was quiet for a moment, and Bell worried he'd overstepped. It does. Every day, it hurts. But you know what hurts more? The thought of giving up on her. She's protected me so many times since becoming a demon. She fights her nature every single day to stay by my side. The least I can do is carry her and keep searching for a cure. The pain is worth it if there's even a chance I can save her. I understand. Or, well, I try to. I have people I care about too. People I'd do anything for. My goddess, my friends, and maybe someone else too. The silver-haired woman from earlier? Ai-san. Is it that obvious? Bill's face turned completely red, and Tanjiro laughed, a genuine, warm sound that echoed pleasantly in the dungeon corridors. Just a bit. You smell like, how do I put this? Like a puppy who just saw his favorite person. It's kind of adorable, actually. You can smell emotions? That's not fair. Sorry. It's not something I can control. My sense of smell has always been unusually sharp, and it got even stronger during my Demon Slayer training. I can detect subtle changes in body chemistry that correspond to different emotions. That's incredible, and also really embarrassing. What do I smell like right now? Right now? Determination with a hint of nervousness. Also, curiosity. You're excited about exploring the 13th floor, but you're also worried about keeping me safe since it's my first dive. That's actually exactly right. You're like a walking emotion detector. It has its uses, though I have to be careful, not to overwhelm myself in crowded places. Cities like Orario are intense. So many people, so many different scents and emotions all mixed together. It took me a few days to adjust when I first arrived. They reached the stairs to the 13th floor, and Bell's demeanor became more serious. Okay, this is it. From here on, things get much more dangerous. The monsters are stronger, faster, and smarter. We need to stay alert at all times. Are you ready? Ready. And Bell-san, thank you for watching out for me. I know I'm the newcomer here, and you're taking a risk bringing me to the middle floors on my first dive. That's what family is for, right? We take risks for each other. Now come on, let's show the 13th floor what the Hestia family can do. They descended the stairs together, and immediately, Bell noticed something was wrong. The 13th floor should have been louder, filled with the sounds of monsters and other adventurer parties. But instead, there was an eerie quiet, broken only by the distant drip of water and their own footsteps. This is strange. It's never this quiet. Bell-san, wait, do you smell that? Smell what? I don't. Then he noticed it, a faint odor that made his stomach turn. It was the same smell he detected during his last dive, but stronger now, much stronger. That's the smell of a demon. I'd recognize it anywhere. There's one nearby, maybe more than one. His hand moved to his Nichiren blade, and Bell readied his knife. But that's impossible. There are no demons in the dungeon, just monsters from... He cut himself off as they rounded a corner and saw it. At first, Bell thought it was an adventurer, a woman in tattered clothes, sitting against the wall with her head down. But as they approached, she looked up, and Belle's blood ran cold. Her eyes were wrong. Not the eyes of a human or even a monster, but something else entirely. Crimson pupils with vertical slits set in sclera that were an unnatural bloodshot red. Her mouth was stained with something dark, and her fingernails had elongated into claw-like talons. "Get back, Belle-san." "That's a demon. Ah, I can smell it. Fresh blood, young blood. You boys look delicious." Her voice was raspy, inhuman. She stood up, her movements jerky and wrong, and Belle noticed with horror that her legs bent backwards like a grasshopper's. What is that thing?" "A demon, a creature that was once human but has been transformed by Muzan's blood. She's already killed and eaten people. I can smell human blood on her breath. She's dangerous, Belle-san. Stay behind me." "Two little lambs wandering into my territory. Muzan-sama will be pleased when I bring him your corpses." She lunged forward with inhuman speed, faster than any goblin or kobold Belle had ever faced. But Tanjiro was faster. Tanjiro, water-breathing, first form, water surface slash. His blade flashed, and a horizontal strike cut through the air with such smoothness it was like water flow. The demon's head separated from her body and hit the ground, rolling several feet before coming to a stop. But instead of dying, the demon laughed. "Foolish boy, you think a normal blade can kill me? Watch as I regenerate. Watch as This is no normal blade. It's a Nichiren sword, forged specifically to kill demons. Your regeneration won't work." As if to prove his point, the demon's body began to disintegrate, turning to ash that scattered in a non-existent wind. Within seconds, there was nothing left but the tattered clothes she'd worn. Belle stared in shock. She just disappeared. Is that normal? That's what happens when a demon is killed by a Nichiren blade or sunlight. They turn to ash. No body, no magic stone, no drop items. Just gone. But magic stones. Every monster leaves a magic stone when it dies. That's how adventurers make money. If demons don't leave anything, then they're not like your dungeon monsters at all. Which means my theory was right. Muzan has brought demons into the dungeon somehow. That woman was probably an adventurer who got turned. Given how weak she was likely newly transformed. Belle felt sick. An adventurer turned into a man-eating monster. How many others had suffered the same fate? We need to report this to the guild. If there are demons in the dungeon, wait, look at the ground. Belle looked down and noticed what Tanjiro had spotted. Footprints in the dust. Lots of them, all heading deeper into the 13th floor. There are more of them, many more, and they're all heading in the same direction, towards something, or someone. You think they're gathering? I know they are. Demons aren't solitary creatures when they serve Muzan. They follow orders and they congregate when called. There must be a stronger demon somewhere deeper in, a demon that can command others. Then we need to find it before it gets stronger. If there's a demon in the dungeon that can create more demons from adventurers, it could turn the entire city into a feeding ground. You're right, we need to investigate. But Belle-san, I need to warn you, demons are far more dangerous than anything you faced in this dungeon. They can regenerate from almost any wound, they have supernatural abilities called blood demon arts, and they're incredibly cunning. What should I do if we encounter more of them? My weapons are just normal metal. They won't work like your sword does. Tanjiro thought for a moment, then reached into his haori and pulled out a small vial containing a clear liquid. This is wisteria poison. Wisteria flowers are one of the few plants that are toxic to demons. If you coat your blade with this, it won't kill them, but it will slow their regeneration and weaken them. That should give you enough time to retreat or for me to finish them off. Bell carefully took the vial and applied some of the liquid to his knife and short sword. Wisteria poison. I'll remember that. Thank you, Tanjiro-san. Also, there's something else you should know. When we're fighting, I might seem different. The breathing styles I use require complete focus and concentration. I might not respond to you right away, so if you need to get my attention, yell my name loudly. Understand? Got it. Stay alert. Don't expect normal damage to work on demons, and yell if I need help. Anything else? Yes. If I tell you to run, you run. No arguments, no hesitation. Some demons are too dangerous even for me, and I won't risk your life if we encounter one of Muzan's upper ranks.
Upper ranks?
The strongest demons under Muzan's command. They've killed countless demon slayers, warriors who've trained their entire lives specifically to fight demons. If we encounter one here in the dungeon where they have the advantage, we might not survive. The gravity in Tanjiro's voice sent a chill down Bell's spine. This person, this kind, gentle person, was genuinely afraid of what they might find. That alone told Bell everything he needed to know about how serious this threat was. All right, I'll trust your judgment. If you say run, I'll run. But until then, we investigate together. Deal? Deal. They followed the trail of footprints deeper into the 13th floor, and as they walked, Bell couldn't help but notice how Tanjiro's entire demeanor had changed. The friendly, warm person from before was still there, but now there was a predatory edge to him, a sharpness that reminded Bell of how Aiz looked when she was hunting monsters. This was Tanjiro the Demon Slayer, not Tanjiro the friendly newcomer. Bell-san, how much do you know about the layout of this floor? The 13th floor is actually pretty straightforward compared to some of the others. It's mostly long corridors and large rooms. The monsters here are usually killer ants, big insect-type monsters that travel in groups. They're tough, but not too smart. There are also some owl mirage, horn rabbits that are fast and aggressive. Have you noticed we haven't seen any of those monsters since we got down here? Bell froze. Tanjiro was right. They'd been on the 13th floor for at least 20 minutes now, and they hadn't encountered a single monster. Not one. That's not normal. Even during slow times, there should be monsters spawning. Unless something is hunting them or eating them. Demons can consume more than just humans. They can eat any living creature. If there are demons on this floor, they might have already cleared out most of the monster population. But wouldn't that attract attention? If adventurers come down here and don't find any monsters, they'll report it to the guild. That might be exactly what Muzan wants. Think about it. If monsters stop spawning on one floor, what would the guild do? They'd send investigators, strong adventurers to figure out what's wrong. Oh no. Exactly. More powerful prey, all walking right into a trap. Muzan is brilliant in the worst possible way. He doesn't just create chaos, he manipulates situations to his advantage. They continued deeper, and eventually they heard voices echoing from a large chamber ahead. Bell signaled for them to slow down, and they crept forward carefully. The chamber was massive, easily 100 feet across, with a high ceiling and multiple passages leading in and out. And in the center stood a group of about a dozen adventurers, all looking confused and disoriented. But Bell immediately noticed something wrong with them. Their movements were sluggish, their eyes unfocused, and that smell, the rot and decay smell, was overwhelming. They've been turned, all of them. They're newly made demons, probably transformed within the last few hours. They're still getting used to their new bodies. Can we save them? Turn them back? No. Once someone becomes a demon, there's no cure, except for my sister, but she's a special case. The only mercy we can give them is a quick death. But they were people. They had families, friends, familias that cared about them. I know, and that's why we have to stop this here and now. If we don't, more people will suffer the same fate. I'm sorry, Belle-san. I wish there was another way. Before they could move, one of the turned adventurers spotted them. Living humans! I can smell them! So hungry! So hungry! The entire group turned toward Belle and Tanjiro, their eyes glowing red in the darkness. Tanjiro, Belle-san, stay close to me. Don't let them surround us. Right. The turned adventurers charged with inhuman speed, and the battle began. His black blade traced intricate patterns through the air as he called out his techniques. Water breathing, second form, water wheel. He spun his body and blade in a circular motion, creating a defensive technique that decapitated 3 demons in one smooth motion. Water breathing, fourth form, striking tide. Multiple rapid strikes flowed into each other, each one taking down another demon. Belle did his best to support him, using his superior speed, enhanced by his level 2 status, to dodge attacks and create openings. The wisteria poison on his weapons worked as advertised. When he managed to cut a demon, they screamed in pain, and their movements slowed noticeably. But there were so many of them, and they just kept coming. Tanjiro-san, there's too many. We need to... Water breathing. How nostalgic. I haven't seen that style in decades. Both Belle and Tanjiro froze at the new voice, calm, cultured, and utterly devoid of warmth. From one of the side passages, a figure emerged. He looked like an adventurer, well-dressed, with neat hair and a handsome face. But his eyes were the same crimson red as the other demons, and the aura of power radiating from him was overwhelming. Demon, allow me to introduce myself. I am Kyogai, formerly the lower rank 6 of the 12 Kazuki. I was cast out by Muzan-sama, but now I have a chance to prove my worth again. You see, he's promised to restore my position if I can successfully establish a demon presence in this dungeon. And you too are going to be my first worthy sacrifices. Lower rank 6? You were one of the 12 Kizuki? Was, but I will be again. Now then, shall we begin? I'm quite curious to see how your water breathing stands up to my blood demon art. The demon raised his hand, and Belle noticed strange drum-like organs embedded in his body, on his shoulders, his arms, his torso. Blood demon art, rotating room. He struck one of the drums, and suddenly the entire chamber rotated 90 degrees. Belle and Tanjiro were thrown off balance, slamming into what had been the wall but was now the floor. What the? Interesting, isn't it? I can control the orientation of this room with my drums. Up becomes down, left becomes right. Let's see how well you fight when you can't even tell which way is up. He struck another drum, and the room rotated again. Belle felt his stomach lurch as gravity seemed to shift. Tanjiro, Belle-san, close your eyes and focus on your other senses. Don't rely on sight. But how am I supposed to fight if I can't see? Trust me, in Demon Slayer training, we learn to fight in complete darkness. Use your hearing, your sense of touch, feel the movements around you. It went against every instinct Belle had, but he closed his eyes. Immediately, the disorienting spinning seemed to lessen. He could hear Kyogai's breathing, the sound of his drums, the footsteps of the remaining turned adventurers. That's it. Now stay close to me. I'm going to try to get us closer to Kyogai. How admirable, but futile. The demon continued striking his drums, rotating the room over and over. But Tanjiro seemed to be adapting, his movements becoming more fluid, more instinctive. He was reading the pattern of rotations, predicting them. Water breathing, third form, flowing dance. He moved with the rotations instead of against them, using the shifting gravity to his advantage. His blade flowed like water, cutting down the remaining turned adventurers as he made his way toward Kyogai. Impressive. You've adapted faster than I expected, but can you handle this? He struck multiple drums simultaneously, and the room began rotating in multiple directions at once, a dizzying, nauseating sensation that would have brought most people to their knees. But Tanjiro pressed forward, his breathing steady and controlled. "Bell-san, when I give the signal, throw your knife at Kyogai. Aim for the sound of his voice." "What? I can't make that throw, not while everything is spinning." "Yes, you can. Trust yourself. You're a level 2 adventurer. Your stats are enhanced far beyond a normal person's. You can make this shot." Bell gritted his teeth. Tanjiro was right. His status had been updated by Hestia, and his abilities were significantly higher than a normal human's. But this throw would require perfect timing and accuracy. "Kyogai, what are you two whispering about? It doesn't matter. You'll both die here, and Muzan-sama will finally acknowledge me again." "Now, Bell-san." Bell's eyes snapped open. In that instant, despite the spinning room and shifting gravity, he saw Kyogai clearly. His arm moved on pure instinct, guided by the enhanced agility and dexterity that came with his level 2 status. The knife flew true, coated in wisteria poison. It struck Kyogai directly in the throat. "Gah!" The demon staggered back, clutching his throat. The wisteria poison immediately began working, slowing his regeneration and disrupting his concentration. And that moment of distraction was all Tanjiro needed. Tanjiro, Hinokami Kagura, clear blue sky. His blades suddenly seemed to ignite, not with actual fire, but with an intensity that made it look like flames were dancing along its length. The technique was completely different from his water breathing, more powerful, more forceful. In one devastating horizontal slash, Tanjiro closed the distance and severed Kyogai's head. The room stopped spinning immediately, settling back into its normal orientation. Kyogai's body began disintegrating, his expression frozen in shock. How did you? That wasn't water breathing." "What was that technique?" "Tanjiro. It's called Hinokami Kagura, the dance of the fire god. It was passed down in my family for generations. Rest in peace, Kyogai. I'm sorry your life led you down this path." As the demon turned to ash, Bell collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. That was intense. Is that what fighting demons is always like? That was actually relatively tame. Kyogai was a lower rank who'd been expelled from the 12 Kazuki, meaning he wasn't even among Muzan's strongest servants anymore. A real member of the 12 Kazuki would have been much, much more dangerous. More dangerous than that? That's terrifying. Tanjiro walked over and offered Bell his hand, helping him to his feet. "You did great, Bell-san. That throw was perfect. Without it, the fight would have been much harder. You saved both our lives." "Really? I just threw the knife where you told me to. And you trusted me enough to do it despite the impossible circumstances. That takes courage. You should be proud." Bell felt warmth spread through his chest at the praise. Coming from someone like Tanjiro, someone who'd clearly faced horrors Bell couldn't imagine, those words meant a lot. But their moment was interrupted by a sound from the box on Tanjiro's back, a gentle tapping like someone knocking from inside. Ah, Nezuko must have smelled the battle. She wants to make sure I'm okay. "Don't worry, we're fine." He patted the box affectionately, and the tapping stopped. "Your sister has been in there the whole time? Through all that spinning and fighting?" "She's used to it. This box was specially made to be secure and comfortable for her. She's been traveling with me like this for over a year now." Bell looked at the box with newfound respect. To endure all of that without complaint, just to stay close to her brother. She must really love you. And I love her. More than anything. Which is why we need to stop Muzan. If he's really establishing a demon presence in this dungeon, Who knows how many more people will suffer like those adventurers we just fought? You're right. We need to report this to the guild immediately. They need to know what's happening down here. Agreed. But Belle-san, do you think they'll believe us? We have no proof. The demons turned to ash, leaving nothing behind. It'll be our word against... A slow clap echoed through the chamber, and both boys immediately went on guard. From the shadows of one of the passages, another figure emerged. But unlike Kyogai, this person looked completely normal. A beautiful woman with long black hair and elegant clothes. She could have been any adventurer or citizen of Orario. Except for her eyes. Those terrible crimson eyes. How delightful! You defeated Kyogai so easily. Muzan-sama was right to be cautious of you, Kamado Tanjiro. You've become quite strong since your encounter with the lower ranks on that train. You know about Mugen Train? That means you're... Oh, how rude of me. I haven't introduced myself. I am Daki, upper rank 6 of the 12 Kizuki, and I've been sent here personally by Muzan-sama to deal with you. Upper rank 6. The title sent ice through Belle's veins. Tanjiro had said the upper ranks were the strongest demons, warriors who'd killed countless demon slayers, and one was standing right in front of them. Tanjiro, Belle-san, remember what I said about running if I told you to? Yes. I'm telling you to run, right now. Get back to the surface. Find Eyes Wallenstein or any other strong adventurer you can. Tell them everything. They need to know what's down here. But what about you? I can't just leave you to face her alone. Oh, how sweet. The little white-haired boy wants to protect his friend. Don't worry, sweetie. I'll make sure to kill you both quickly. Well, relatively quickly. I do need to bring Muzan-sama proof that I've completed my mission, after all. Your heads should suffice. Her body suddenly shifted, her beautiful appearance melting away to reveal her true form. Her skin became pale and sickly, patterns like obi sashes formed across her body, and her hair began moving with a life of its own, each strand sharp as a blade. Tanjiro, Belle-san, run! Now! The decision was taken out of his hands as Tanjiro physically pushed him toward one of the passages, just as Daki's hair blade slashed through the space where he'd been standing a second earlier. Oh no, you don't! Both of you are going to die here! But before she could pursue Belle, Tanjiro intercepted her, his black blade meeting her hair blade attacks in a shower of sparks. Your opponent is me! Don't you dare touch him! How boring! I wanted to kill you both together! Fine then, I'll just have to finish you quickly and chase down the other one. Belle ran. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, to help Tanjiro, to not abandon his new friend. But Tanjiro's words echoed in his mind. If he stayed, he'd only get in the way. He'd be a liability, not an asset. But if he could reach the surface, if he could get help, maybe, just maybe, they could save Tanjiro and stop whatever Muzan was planning. As he sprinted through the corridors, tears streaming down his face, Belle made a silent promise. I'll come back. I'll bring help. Just hold on, Tanjiro-san. Please, hold on. Behind him, the sounds of battle echoed through the dungeon. The clash of blade against claw, the shouts of combat, the terrible laughter of an upper-rank demon enjoying the fight. And somewhere even deeper in the darkness, Muzan Kibutsuji watched through Daki's eyes and smiled. The pieces were moving exactly as he'd planned. Chapter 3: The Call for Heroes. Belle ran faster than he'd ever run in his life. His legs burned, his lungs screamed for air, but he didn't slow down, couldn't slow down. Behind him, the sounds of battle were already fading. Whether because he was getting too far away or because the fight had already ended, he couldn't tell. He didn't want to think about which option was more likely. Please be okay. Please be okay. Please be okay. He muttered it like a mantra as he navigated the corridors of the 13th floor. Normally, he'd be more careful, watching for monster ambushes, checking each corner before proceeding. But right now, speed was everything. A killer ant suddenly emerged from the wall in front of him, its mandibles clicking as it prepared to attack. Bell didn't even slow down. He vaulted over the creature using his enhanced agility, leaving it confused and disoriented behind him. Out of my way! He'd never pushed his status this hard before. The stats that Hestia had blessed him with, the abilities that had grown through his trials, were being tested to their absolute limit. His agility, already his highest stat at rank D, allowed him to navigate the dungeon at speeds that would have been impossible just months ago. Finally, after what felt like an eternity but was probably only 10 minutes, Bell burst through the entrance to the 13th floor and onto the stairs leading to the 12th. He didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Up the stairs, through the 12th floor, past confused adventurers who shouted at him to slow down. Through the 11th, the 10th, the 9th. His vision started to blur from exhaustion, but he pushed through it. Tanjiro was counting on him. Those adventurers who'd been turned into demons, their familias needed to know what happened to them. The entire city needed to know the danger lurking in the dungeon. By the time he reached the first floor and sprinted toward Babel's entrance, Bell's legs felt like they might give out at any moment. But through sheer force of will, he kept moving. He emerged from the dungeon entrance into afternoon sunlight, and the sudden brightness momentarily blinded him. He stumbled, nearly fell, but caught himself on a nearby pillar. "Hey, are you all right? Do you need a healer?" "No time. I need to report. Emergency. There's an emergency in the dungeon." "An emergency? What kind of? Where's Aina? I need to find Aina Tool, now." The guild employee, taken aback by Bell's intensity, quickly pointed toward the guild headquarters building. She should be at her desk, but Bell was already running again. The guild headquarters was thankfully close to Babel, just a few minutes sprint away. Bell burst through the doors, ignoring the startled receptionists and advisors, scanning frantically for the familiar face of his guild advisor. There! At her usual desk, surrounded by paperwork as always, sat Aina Tully, a half-elf with brown hair, glasses, and a professional demeanor that had saved Bell's life more times than he could count with her advice and guidance. "Bell, Ina-san!" His shout drew the attention of everyone in the building. Aina's head snapped up, her eyes widening behind her glasses as she saw Bell's disheveled, desperate appearance. "Bell-kun! What in the world? You look terrible! Are you injured? Did something happen in the dungeon?" Bell stumbled to her desk, bracing himself against it to keep from falling over. "Bell, Aina-san, I need to report an emergency. There are demons in the dungeon, real demons. They're turning adventurers, killing people. There's an upper-ranked demon on the 13th floor right now, and my familiar member is fighting her alone." The words spilled out in a rush, and Bell watched as Aina's professional expression shifted through confusion, concern, and finally what looked like disbelief. "Bell-kun, slow down. You're not making sense. Demons? What are you talking about? Do you mean a new monster species?" "No, not monsters, demons, creatures that were once human but were transformed. They regenerate from any wound, they have supernatural powers, and they turn to ash when killed so they don't leave magic stones. My new familiar member, Tanjiro, he's been hunting them, and—" "Bell-kun, I need you to take a deep breath. You're clearly in shock from something. Let's get you to a healer and—" "I'm not in shock. This is real. Aina-san, please, you have to believe me. There's a demon down there right now, and she's going to kill Tanjiro if we don't send help." Other guild employees had started gathering around Aina's desk, drawn by the commotion. Bell recognized some of them, Misha, Aina's colleague, and several senior guild staff members. "Young man, you need to calm down. You're causing a disturbance. If you have a legitimate report to make—" "It is legitimate. People are dying. Those missing adventurers from the past few weeks, they weren't killed by monsters, they were turned into demons. I saw them, I fought them. Bell-kun, the missing adventurers, we have protocols for investigating those disappearances. We can't just assume. The boy is telling the truth. Everyone froze at the new voice, calm, authoritative, and instantly recognizable to anyone who worked at the guild. Walking toward them was a woman with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She wore the formal attire of a guild official, but there was something about her presence that commanded immediate respect. It was Rose Fanet, a high-ranking guild employee and one of the few people in Arario who had access to the guild's deepest secrets. I've been investigating the disappearances myself. The patterns didn't match normal monster attacks. And we've had reports, unconfirmed reports, of strange occurrences on the middle floors. Shadow-like figures that don't match any known monster species. Adventurers returning with stories of creatures that regenerate impossibly fast. She approached Bell directly, her eyes studying him with professional intensity. You said your familiar member is fighting one of these creatures right now, on the 13th floor? Yes. Please, we need to send help. He's strong, but this demon, Daki, she called herself, upper rank 6, she's too powerful. He told me to run and get help. Rose's expression darkened at the mention of the name. Upper rank 6. That suggests a hierarchy, an organization. This is worse than I feared. Aina, send an emergency request to the Loki Familia immediately. Tell them we have a code red situation on the 13th floor and we need their strongest combat team mobilized within the hour. The Loki Familia? Rose-san, are you sure? Now, Aina, every second we waste is a second this boy's friend might not have. Aina immediately began writing the emergency request, her hands shaking slightly. She knew what a code red meant, an immediate threat to Arario itself, reserved only for the most dire circumstances. Misha, get me a map of the 13th floor. I need to know the best routes for a rescue team. Also, send word to Ganesha Familia. I want their security teams on high alert. If even a fraction of what this boy is saying is true, we may need to evacuate the upper floors of the dungeon. The guild headquarters exploded into activity. Employees rushed in every direction, carrying messages, organizing teams, spreading word of the emergency. Rose turned back to Belle, and for the first time, her stern expression softened slightly. You did the right thing by running and reporting this. I know it couldn't have been easy to leave your friend behind. What's his name? Kamado Tanjiro. He joined our familia just this morning. He's from far away, somewhere outside Arario. He came here hunting a demon king named Muzan Kibutsuji. He thinks this Muzan is hiding in the dungeon, building an army of demons. Muzan Kibutsuji? Rose's eyes narrowed, and she seemed to be thinking deeply about something. That name, I've heard it before. Years ago, there was a report from one of our Eastern information networks, a mysterious figure who appeared to be immortal, connected to disappearances and mass deaths across several countries. But the reports were so fantastical that we dismissed them as folklore. If this is the same entity, then he's real, and he's here in Arario. Tanjiro said he tracked him to this city 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago? That coincides exactly with when the disappearances in the dungeon started increasing. Before they could continue, the guild's main entrance burst open again, and Belle's heart leapt with hope. It was Eyes Wallenstein, followed by several other members of the Loki Familia. The Sword Princess looked as composed as ever, but there was an urgency to her movements that Belle had rarely seen. Behind her were Beite Loga, the werewolf with a short temper and incredible speed. Tiona and Tion Hirayute, the Amazon twins known for their combat prowess. And bringing up the rear was Reveria Laz Elf, the high elf and vice captain of the Loki Familia. Eyes. Belkun, where? Just 2 words, but Belle understood immediately. The 13th floor. There's a large chamber with multiple passages. It's in the western section. Tanjiro is fighting a demon named Daki there. She's incredibly dangerous. She said she's upper rank 6. Upper rank? What kind of stupid title is that? Sounds like somebody got their head too big for their body. Reveria, Beite, quiet. Belkun, this demon, what abilities does it have? What should we expect? Bell quickly explained everything he knew. The regeneration, the blood demon arts, the fact that normal weapons wouldn't kill them, only slow them down. Only Tanjiro's special sword can actually kill them permanently. Everything else just buys time. Then we'll buy time until we can get him and the sword out of there safely. A rescue operation, not an elimination mission. Sounds fun. I haven't had a good challenge in weeks. This is not a game, Tiona. If what Belkun says is true, this creature is unlike anything we faced before. We need to approach with caution. Belkun, you're coming with us. Eh? You know the exact location. You've seen the enemy. We need you to guide us and provide information during the fight. Can you do it? Bell's legs were still shaking from his sprint up from the 13th floor. His stamina was depleted, his mind was racing with fear and worry, and every logical part of his brain was screaming that he wasn't qualified to accompany the Loki Familia on such a dangerous mission. But when he thought of Tanjiro, that kind, gentle person who joined their familia just hours ago, who was fighting alone right now to protect Bell and everyone else, the answer was obvious. Yes, I'll guide you. Let's go save my friend. For just a moment, Aiza's expressionless face showed something that might have been approval or pride. The guild officially authorizes this rescue mission. Loki's Familia, you have full clearance to use whatever force necessary on the 13th floor. Protect your people, bring back the boy's friend, and, if possible, capture one of these demons alive for study. Understood. Let's move out! The group rushed out of the guild headquarters, and Bell found himself running once again toward Babel and the dungeon entrance. But this time, he wasn't running away from danger. He was running toward it, with some of the strongest adventurers in Arario at his side. Hold on, Tanjiro-san, we're coming. Shh! He was breathing hard now, sweat dripping down his face. The constant breathing techniques were taking their toll. Maintaining the enhanced physical state required immense concentration and stamina, and Daki knew it. Daki? Getting tired already? That's too bad. We've barely started playing. Tell you what, if you beg for mercy, I'll make your death quick. I'll even let you see your precious little sister one last time before I rip her out of that box and devour her in front of you. Something snapped in Tanjiro at those words. Nezuko. She threatened Nezuko. Don't you dare touch my sister! His blade began to glow with that intense heat again, the visual flames becoming more pronounced, more real. Tanjiro, Hinokami Kagura, burning bones, summer sun! The technique was executed with such ferocity that even Daki had to take it seriously. The circular slash carried such heat and power that it actually forced her to dodge rather than simply regenerate through it. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. That's not water breathing. What is that? It's the technique passed down in my family for 400 years, the dance of the fire god. And I swear on my family's honor, I won't let you harm anyone else. He pressed his attack, switching fully from water breathing to Hinokami Kagura. The techniques were more stamina intensive, more demanding, but also significantly more powerful. Tanjiro, Hinokami Kagura, clear blue sky. Tanjiro, Hinokami Kagura, raging sun. Tanjiro, Hinokami Kagura, setting sun transformation. Each technique forced Daki back, and for the first time since the fight started, Tanjiro saw something besides amusement in her eyes. Wariness, maybe even a tiny bit of fear. You're actually making me try! How dare you! How dare you make me look bad! Do you know how long it's been since an upper rank had to actually put in effort against a demon slayer? Her appearance began to change further. Her eyes gained new markings, her sashes multiplied, and her aura of bloodlust became so intense that Tanjiro could barely breathe. Fine then, if you want to see my true power, I'll show you, and then I'll kill you, your sister, and everyone in this stupid city! Tanjiro knew he was in trouble. This was Daki at her full power, a level of demon that had killed countless experienced demon slayers in his world. And he was already exhausted from using Hinokami Kagura continuously. But he couldn't give up. Not when Bell was counting on him, not when his sister was on his back, not when innocent people were at stake. Come on then, I'll stop you here. Even if it costs me my life, I'll protect this city and everyone in it. How noble! How stupid! Die! She launched her full assault, hundreds of obi sashes attacking from every conceivable angle, the chamber becoming a web of deadly fabric that sliced through stone like paper. Tanjiro dodged, parried, and countered with everything he had. His black blade became a blur of motion, the flames of Hinokami Kagura creating a protective barrier of heat and steel around him. But it wasn't enough. One sash got through his defense, cutting deep into his shoulder. Then another caught his leg, then his side. Blood began to flow, and Tanjiro's movement slowed. What's wrong? Is that really all? How pathetic! You talked so big, but you're going to die here like all the others. Tanjiro's vision was starting to blur from blood loss. His breathing was ragged, the steady rhythm of Hinokami Kagura becoming harder and harder to maintain. This is it, he thought. This is how I die. I'm sorry, Nezuko. I'm sorry I couldn't. Water breathing, third form, flowing dance. A new blade appeared in the fray, a rapier that moved with elegant precision, cutting through several of Daki's sashes and forcing her to pull back. Thunder breathing, first form, thunderclap and flash. A figure moved at speeds that rivaled thunder breathing itself, appearing at Tanjiro's side in a flash of movement and steel. Flame breathing, first form, unknowing fire. Tanjiro's eyes widened in disbelief as he saw his rescuers. Eyes Wallenstein, wielding her sword desperate with perfect form, having somehow replicated water breathing's third form after seeing it just once. Bell Loga, moving at such extreme speeds that his attacks mimicked the effect of thunder breathing. And Tiona Hiryute, her weapon wreathed in flames created by an enchantment, executing something that looked remarkably like a flame-breathing technique. Tanjiro, how did you? Bell-kun came back, with friends. We're here to help. Behind them, Bell emerged from one of the passages, and despite his exhaustion, despite everything, he was smiling. Did you really think I'd leave you behind, Tanjiro-san? We're family. We protect each other. Tears of gratitude welled up in Tanjiro's eyes, but he blinked them away. There would be time for emotion later. Right now, they had a demon to defeat. Thank you, all of you. But please be careful. She's an upper rank. She's far more dangerous than any normal demon. More of you. Fine, I'll just kill you all at once. Muzan-sama will be so pleased when I bring him a mountain of corpses. Not if we have anything to say about it. Everyone, formation beta. We're extracting our target and retreating. This is not an elimination mission. You heard the vice captain. Grab the new kid and let's get out of here. You're not going anywhere. The battle became chaos as the Loki Familia members worked together to create an opening for retreat. Aze and Beatty kept Daki occupied with their high-speed attacks, while Tiona and Tione focused on destroying the obi sashes before they could surround the group. Riveria stood at the back, chanting a spell, her voice carrying the ancient words of high-level magic. Harbinger of the end, white snow, blow with the wind before the twilight, Wishheim. A massive blast of ice magic erupted from her staff, freezing hundreds of Daki sashes in place and creating a temporary barrier. Move, now, while she's recovering! Tiona grabbed Tanjiro, who was too injured to run on his own, and threw him over her shoulder. Belle led the way, guiding them back through the corridors toward the stairs. Daki's scream of rage echoed through the entire 13th floor. "You cowards! Come back and fight me! I'll hunt you down! I'll kill every single one of you!" But the group was already gone, racing up the stairs, leaving the demon to rage impotently in the chamber below. The Gathering Storm. Chapter 4. The War Council. They didn't stop running until they'd reached the surface. Tanjiro was barely conscious by the time they emerged from Babel, his injuries severe despite the makeshift bandages Riveria had applied during their retreat. Belle stayed close to Tiona, who still carried the Demon Slayer over her shoulder like a sack of potatoes, though her grip was careful, mindful of his wounds. "Tiona, this guy is tougher than he looks. Most people would have passed out from blood loss by now." "Can't pass out. Nezuko's still in the box." His voice was weak, but the determination in it made Belle's chest tighten with respect. "Belle, don't worry about Nezuko. The box didn't get damaged at all. Your sister is safe." That seemed to be what Tanjiro needed to hear. His body finally relaxed, and he slipped into unconsciousness with a small smile on his face. The guild had mobilized quickly. A team of healers was waiting at the entrance, led by Amid Teasanare of the Dian-checked Familia, one of Orario's best medical familias. They immediately took Tanjiro into their care, rushing him to their clinic while the Loki Familia members regrouped. Eyes approached Belle, and for once, her usual expressionless mask had cracked slightly. There was concern in her golden eyes. "Are you hurt, Belle-kun?" "No, I'm fine, just exhausted. But Tanjiro-san, he fought that demon alone for so long. If we'd been even a few minutes later..." "We weren't." "That's what matters. Belle-kun, the techniques that Demon Slayer used, they were real, weren't they? Not magic, something different." "Yes, he calls them breathing styles. They're techniques that enhance your physical abilities through controlled breathing and years of training. He offered to teach you this morning, remember? I want to learn, properly. Those techniques, they were beautiful and powerful. Coming from the Sword Princess, someone who stood at the pinnacle of Orario's combat abilities, that was extraordinary praise." "Tch, so that's what had you so interested, huh, Ace? I gotta admit, the kid had some moves. That spinning attack with the flames was impressive. Still, wouldn't last 5 minutes against me, though. Oh, please, Bait. You barely contributed to that fight. If it wasn't for Ace and Riveria, we wouldn't have gotten out so cleanly." "What did you say? I was the one who..." "Enough, both of you. We have more important matters to discuss." The High Elf's commanding voice cut through the bickering immediately. Despite being soft-spoken most of the time, when Rivera Leos Alf used that tone, even the rowdiest Loki Familia members fell in line. That creature we encountered, that demon, as young Tanjiro calls it, was unlike any monster I've seen in my 80 years of studying the dungeon. Its regeneration exceeded even that of a high-level floor boss. Its combat abilities rivaled a level 5 adventurer at minimum. And most troubling of all, it displayed clear intelligence and strategic thinking. That's because it was human once. Tanjiro explained it to me. Demons are created when a creature named Muzan Kibutsuji gives his blood to a human. The transformation grants them supernatural powers, but also makes them his servants. They have to obey his orders, and they need to consume human flesh to survive. A forced transformation that creates powerful servants, that's an ability far more dangerous than simple monster spawning. If this Muzan can create such creatures at will, and if he truly is hiding in the dungeon as your friend believes, she didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood the implications. So what do? We can't just let these demons run around in the dungeon. Eventually, they'll get strong enough to reach the surface, right? That's exactly what we need to prevent. The new voice drew everyone's attention to a small figure approaching the group. Despite his childlike appearance and stature, there was no mistaking the authority in his presence. Fen Daemne, captain of the Loki Familia, the braver, one of Orario's most renowned heroes. Behind him walked their goddess, Loki herself, with her usual lazy smile that somehow managed to look both carefree and calculating at the same time. Yo, heard we had some excitement today? Something about monsters that aren't really monsters? Sounds like a pain in the ass. I've been briefed by Rose Fanet at the guild. This situation is more serious than we initially thought. We need to convene a war council immediately. Representatives from all major familias, guild leadership, and anyone with relevant information about these demons. A war council? You mean like an actual war? Finn's expression was grave as he looked at Belle. If what you and your familiar member have reported, then yes, we're potentially facing an invasion from within, an enemy that can blend in with the civilian population, that can corrupt our own people and turn them against us. That's not just a dungeon problem. That's a threat to Orario itself. The weight of those words settled over the group like a heavy blanket. The meeting will take place in 3 hours at guild headquarters. Belle Cranel, your presence is required. You and Tanjiro are the only ones with direct knowledge of these demons. Loki Familia, full attendance mandatory. Eyes, I'll need your detailed report on the combat capabilities you observed. Understood. Dismissed. Everyone rest and prepare. We have a long night ahead of us. As the Loki Familia members began to disperse, Belle felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Eyes. Belle-kun, before the meeting, can we talk about your friend and those breathing techniques? Of course, Ai-san. I'll tell you everything I know. She nodded, and together they began walking toward the Dian-checked Familia clinic where Tanjiro was being treated. Neither of them noticed the figure watching from the shadows, a hooded person whose eyes glowed faintly red in the darkness. Meanwhile, deep in the dungeon, far below the 13th floor, in depths that only the strongest adventurers had ever reached, a meeting of a different sort was taking place. The chamber was vast and twisted, its walls pulsing with an unnatural darkness that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. This was not a natural part of the dungeon. It had been carved out, shaped, molded by something that understood architecture in ways that defied normal physics. At the center of this chamber stood a man. He was beautiful in the way that poisonous flowers are beautiful. Elegant, refined, with features so perfect they seemed almost artificial. His dark hair framed a face that could have belonged to a god, and his eyes held a crimson glow that spoke of power beyond mortal comprehension. This was Muzan Kibutsuji, the Demon King, the progenitor of all demons, and he was displeased. Explain to me, Daki, how a single demon slayer and a group of local adventurers managed not only to survive an encounter with you, but also to escape with minimal casualties. Kneeling before him was the demon from the 13th floor, Daki, upper rank 6. Even in this subservient position, her beauty was striking, but the fear in her eyes ruined any aesthetic appeal. Muzan-sama, the demon slayer, he was stronger than anticipated, and the adventurers from this city, they used techniques that resembled breathing styles. I was caught off guard. Caught off guard. How wonderfully incompetent of you. Tell me, Daki, do you remember what happens to demons who fail me? Please, Muzan-sama, give me another chance. I'll kill them all, the Demon Slayer, the adventurers, everyone. For a long moment, Muzan was silent, his crimson eyes studying Daki with an intensity that made her tremble. No, I have a better use for you. Your failure today, while disappointing, has provided valuable intelligence. These adventurers are more capable than I initially assessed. And this Kamado Tanjiro, he's survived far longer than he should have. He's become quite the nuisance. He turned away from Daki, walking toward what appeared to be a massive map of the dungeon, though certain areas were marked with symbols that no guild cartographer would recognize. Fortunately, I've been preparing for this scenario. I didn't come to Orario without backup plans. Multiple backup plans, in fact. Daki, summon the others. It's time to accelerate our timeline. The others? You mean, yes, all of them. The upper ranks, the lower ranks, every demon I've positioned in this city over the past 3 weeks. We're going to make Orario understand what true terror feels like. And in the chaos, we'll complete our primary objective. The dragon's blood. Precisely. According to my research, the legendary dragon that fell in this city centuries ago, the creature whose corpse became the foundation for their precious dungeon, that dragon's blood still flows somewhere in these depths. Blood with properties that could grant true immortality. Immortality without the weakness to sunlight. Immortality without the need to consume human flesh. True perfection. He smiled, and it was a smile that had been the last thing countless people saw before death. Let the adventurers have their war council. Let them make their plans and strategies. It won't matter. By the time they realize the scope of what we're doing, it will be far too late. This city will fall. Its strongest warriors will become my servants, and I will finally achieve the perfection I've sought for 1,000 years. As you command, Muzan-sama. She vanished into the shadows, leaving Muzan alone in his twisted chamber. Kamado Tanjiro, you've been a thorn in my side for too long. First you killed lower rank 5. Then you interfered with Enmu on that train. And now you've come here to my new sanctuary. But this time will be different. This time, I'll ensure you die screaming. And I'll make your precious sister watch. His laughter echoed through the chamber, soft, cultured, and absolutely devoid of humanity. 3 hours later, the guild's main conference hall was packed with some of the most powerful people in Orario. Bell sat at a long table, feeling incredibly out of place. To his left was Tanjiro, freshly healed by the Diane-checked Familia's magic, though still looking pale and exhausted. To his right was Hestia, his goddess, who'd rushed to the guild as soon as she heard about what had happened. Around the table sat representatives from Orario's major familias. Finn Daimner represented the Loki familia, with Reveria and Eyes flanking him. Otter, the level 7 warrior known as Orario's strongest adventurer, sat stoically representing the Freya familia. Shaktivarma of the Ganesha familia was present, representing the city's security forces. Asvi Alandromeda of the Hermes familia sat with her arms crossed, looking skeptical. And representing the guild itself was Rose Fanet, with Aina and several senior guild officials backing her up. But what truly made Bell nervous were the gods and goddesses present: Loki, Freya, Ganesha, Hermes, and several others, all watching the proceedings with expressions ranging from amusement to concern. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. We are here to address a threat that has been developing under our noses for the past 3 weeks, a threat that we're only now beginning to understand. I'll turn the floor over to Cranel and Tanjiro of the Hestia Familia, who have direct experience with this enemy. All eyes turned to Bell and Tanjiro, and Bell felt his throat go dry. Hello everyone. My name is Cranel, Level 2 Adventurer of the Hestia Familia. 3 weeks ago, adventurers started disappearing in the middle floors of the dungeon. The guild believed it was due to normal monster attacks, but today we discovered the truth. There are creatures called demons in the dungeon, creatures that were once human but have been transformed into monsters that consume human flesh and possess supernatural abilities far beyond normal monsters. He paused, gathering his courage, then continued. My familia member Tanjiro has been fighting these demons for over a year in his homeland. He tracked the creature responsible for creating them, a being called Muzan Kibatuji, to Arario 3 weeks ago. We believe Muzan is hiding in the dungeon and building an army of demons. Silence greeted this announcement, broken finally by a bark of laughter from an unexpected source. Bet. Are we really supposed to believe this fairy tale? Monsters that used to be human? A demon king in the dungeon? This sounds like a story someone would tell to scare children. Tanjiro, I wish it were just a story. I truly do. But I've spent the last year watching people I care about die fighting these creatures. I've seen entire villages slaughtered. I've lost my family to demons. This isn't a fairy tale. It's a nightmare that's followed me here to your city. The demon we encountered today, Daki, she's what's called an upper rank demon. There are 6 of them under Muzan's direct command, and each one has killed hundreds of trained demon slayers. In my world, encountering an upper rank usually meant death. The fact that we survived today was only because your adventurers came to rescue me. If I'd been alone, I would have died. This demon, how strong was it? His deep voice carried a weight of authority that made everyone pay attention. This demon, how strong was it? His deep voice carried a weight of authority. In terms of your leveling system, I'd estimate at least level 5, possibly higher. Her regeneration was nearly instantaneous. Her combat abilities were exceptional, and her blood demon art, her special supernatural ability, allowed her to control fabric-like appendages with precision and deadly force. And you're saying there are 5 more of these upper ranks? Yes, plus an unknown number of lower rank demons, and potentially hundreds of newly created demons. Muzan has had 3 weeks to establish himself here. That's more than enough time to transform dozens of people. This is absurd. If there were hundreds of demons in the dungeon, we would have noticed. The guild monitors every floor constantly. Actually, Shakti, we have noticed. We just didn't understand what we were seeing. The missing adventurers, the strange shadow-like figures, the areas of the dungeon where monsters stop spawning, all of these are consistent with demon activity as Tanjiro describes it. She pulled out a stack of reports and began distributing them around the table. Over the past 3 weeks, we've had 47 confirmed disappearances in the middle floors. That's more than triple our normal rate. Additionally, there have been 23 reports of unusual monster behavior. Creatures that don't match any known species, that regenerate from wounds that should be fatal, and that seem to target specific adventurers rather than attacking indiscriminately. If we assume even half of those disappearances resulted in demon transformations, we're looking at a minimum of 20-25 demons currently in the dungeon, potentially more if they've been creating demons from surface dwellers as well. Now hold on, let's say this is all true. And I'm not saying I'm convinced yet, but let's say it is. What's the end goal here? Why would this Muzan character hide in the dungeon? What's he after? All eyes turned to Tanjiro, who shook his head slowly. I don't know for certain. Muzan's goals have always been mysterious. In my world, he seemed content to hide in human society, creating demons and consuming people while avoiding any demon slayer who got too close. But he's always been searching for something, some way to overcome his weakness to sunlight, to achieve true perfection, as he calls it. The dungeon would provide perfect cover for such a creature. No sunlight below the first floor, plenty of monsters to help conceal his activities, and a ready supply of adventurers to transform. Plus, there's one more thing you're all forgetting. This dungeon of ours has a secret, doesn't it? Something that even most gods don't know about, but that a well-informed outsider might have discovered. The goddess's usually playful demeanor had been replaced by something far more serious. You're referring to the dragon, aren't you, Loki? Murmurs rippled through the assembly at the mention of the dragon. Dragon? What dragon? Hestia, do you know the true origin of the dungeon? The gods say it's always been here, that it's some kind of natural phenomenon. That's what we tell most people, but the truth is more complicated. The dungeon isn't natural. It grew from the corpse of an ancient dragon that was slain here 1,000 years ago. A dragon so powerful that even its death spawned this endless labyrinth of monsters. What? What? The revelation shocked Bell, but he noticed that most of the high-level adventurers in the room didn't seem surprised. This was clearly information reserved for those who'd reached the deeper floors. A dragon's corpse, a source of incredible power, presumably. If Muzan learned about this, he would absolutely seek it out. Dragon blood, dragon flesh, materials that might grant him the evolution he's been searching for. Which means his ultimate goal is likely to reach the deepest floors of the dungeon and claim whatever remains of the dragon for himself. If that happens, if this Demon King gains access to that kind of power, the entire city would be at risk, possibly the entire world. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. Finally, Otter spoke up, his voice calm despite the dire situation. Then we have no choice. We must mobilize a full expedition to the lower floors. Find Muzan Kibutsuji before he reaches the dragon's remains and eliminate him. With all due respect, Otter-san, eliminating Muzan won't be as simple as you think. He's survived for over 1,000 years by being nearly impossible to kill. He has multiple hearts, multiple brains, and regeneration that makes other demons look weak by comparison. The only things that can truly kill him are... He placed his hand on his Nichiren blade, Tanjiro, or a blade specifically forged to kill demons. In my world, we call them Nichiren blades. They're made from a special ore found only on certain mountains, and they're the only weapons, besides sunlight, that can permanently kill a demon. So you're saying all of our weapons, our magic swords, our enchanted equipment, none of it will work on these demons? Your weapons can wound them, slow them down, even incapacitate them temporarily. But without sunlight or a Nichiren blade, they'll just regenerate. The only way to truly stop them is decapitation with the Nichiren blade or exposure to sunlight. That's an impossible handicap. We can't bring sunlight into the dungeon, and we certainly can't forge these special blades in time to equip an entire expedition. Actually, we might be able to. The ore used to make Nichiren blades is called Scarlet Crimson Iron Sand and Scarlet Ore. They're found on mountains that receive sunlight all year round. I've never been to this world's mountains, but if similar ore exists here, a skilled blacksmith could potentially forge Nichiren blades for your adventurers. Did someone say blacksmith? A new voice drew attention to one of the goddesses who'd been quietly observing until now. Hephaestus, goddess of the forge and patron of Aurario's smith familia. Hephaestus, if such an ore exists, my children and I will find it and forge whatever weapons you need. But I'll need more information about these blades, their composition, the forging process, everything. Tanjiro, I'd be happy to share everything I know. Although, I should warn you, in my world, forging Nichiren blades is a closely guarded secret, and it typically takes master smiths years to perfect the technique. My children are the best smiths in Arario. If anyone can replicate your demon-slaying blades, they can. Though we'll need time. At least a week, probably more. A week? That means any expedition would need to be delayed while we prepare. That gives Muzan more time to consolidate his position in the dungeon. I understand the urgency, but going against demons without proper equipment is suicide. In my world, the Demon Slayer Corps spent hundreds of years perfecting our tools and techniques. We can't skip those preparations without paying the price in blood. The debate continued for another hour, discussing strategies, resources, timelines. Bell's head was spinning from all the military talk and planning. This was so far beyond anything he'd imagined when he woke up that morning. Finally, Finn called for a vote on the proposed plan. Delay major dungeon operations for 1 week while Nichiren blades are forged. Send small scouting teams to gather intelligence on demon positions. Tanjiro would work with interested adventurers to teach basic breathing techniques. Prepare for a full-scale expedition to the lower floors to confront Muzan directly. The vote passed unanimously. The Demon King's Domain, Chapter 7, The Battle of the 25th Floor. The chaos of battle surrounded Bell as he fought alongside Eyes against the snake-like lower-ranked demon. His muscles burned from maintaining total concentration breathing, but he couldn't stop now. Every time the demon's elongated limbs lashed out, he had to be ready to dodge or parry. One mistake would be fatal. Eyes, Bell-kun, when I give the signal, aim for the neck. Don't hesitate. Got it. Eyes' sword work was mesmerizing, every movement precise, every strike calculated. She was using the water-breathing techniques Tanjiro had taught her, but adding her own flair, her own style. It was like watching water and wind dance together. You're both so cute when you're trying so hard, but it's useless. My body can stretch and bend in ways you can't predict. You'll never land a clean hit. Eyes. Tempest. She whispered the spell name, and suddenly the air around them began to swirl. Her signature wind magic combined with her sword technique created a vortex that trapped the demon's extended limbs in place. Eyes. Now, Bell-kun. Bell didn't think. He moved on pure instinct, his body executing water-breathing second form with everything he had. Water-breathing, second form, water wheel. His body spun in a full circle, his blade tracing a perfect wheel through the air. The wisteria-coated steel caught the demon's neck at the exact moment Eyes' wind magic held her still. The head separated from the body. Snake Demon. What? How did you? She never finished the sentence. Her body disintegrated into ash, carried away by Eyes' wind. Bell. We did it! Eyes. Good work, Bell-kun, but don't celebrate yet. Look around. Bell tore his gaze from where the demon had fallen and surveyed the larger battle. It was chaos. Otter was still locked in combat with Akaza, their clash so intense that no one else could get close without risking being caught in the crossfire. The level 7 warrior's strength was extraordinary, but Akaza's regeneration seemed endless. The other Loki Familia members were engaged with the remaining lower-ranked demons. Finn fought with tactical brilliance, his spear finding weak points with surgical precision. Riveria's magic illuminated the chamber, massive spells keeping multiple demons at bay. Bet's speed made him nearly untouchable, while Tiona and Tian worked in perfect synchronization to overwhelm their opponents. But there were casualties. Bell could see injured adventurers being pulled back to the defensive line, healers working frantically to keep people alive. Some weren't moving at all. Tanjiro, Ai-san, we need your help over here. Tanjiro's voice cut through the noise. Bell and Eyes rushed over to find the Demon Slayer facing off against two lower-ranked demons simultaneously. his Nichiren blade moving in a constant flow of water-breathing forms, barely keeping up with the assault.
Tanjiro, these two coordinate their attacks. I can't create an opening by myself. Eyes, then we'll create one together. Belkan, can you do the third form? I've only practiced it a few times. That'll have to be enough. Tanjiro-san, when we engage, go for the one on the left. We'll handle the right. Understood. The three of them moved as one, a coordination born not from years of fighting together, but from mutual trust and shared purpose. Water breathing, sixth form, whirlpool. Water breathing, first form, water surface slash. Water breathing, third form, flowing dance. 3 blades, 3 techniques, executed in perfect harmony. The demons barely had time to register the attack before their heads were separated from their bodies. As the ash settled, Belle felt a surge of exhilaration. They'd done it! They'd actually coordinated a combination attack like seasoned warriors. Excellent teamwork! You've both come so far in just a week. But their moment of triumph was cut short by a scream. One of the Ganesha Familia adventurers had been caught by a demon's attack, a massive claw that had impaled him through the chest. The demon lifted him up like a trophy, cackling with glee. "Look what I caught! A little mouse! Should I eat him now or save him for later?" Shakti, "Kashima!" The Ganesha Familia captain rushed forward, but she was too far away. The demon was going to kill its victim in seconds.
But then, a figure appeared from seemingly nowhere, moving faster than even Bide's sprint. It was small, dressed in pink, with long black and orange hair trailing behind it. Nezuko. She'd emerged from her box while everyone was focused on the battles. And now she demonstrated exactly why Tanjiro had said she might be their most valuable asset. Her small fist connected with the demon's face with enough force to send it flying across the chamber. The demon's grip on Kashima broke, and the injured adventurer fell right into Nezuko's waiting arms. She gently set him down, her pink eyes full of concern despite her demon nature. "Nezuko?" She pointed at the demon she'd punched, which was already getting back up, its face regenerating. Then she made gestures that clearly said, "I can handle this one, you focus on the others." "All right, but be careful, if you start to lose control." Nezuko shook her head firmly. She was in complete control, and she was going to prove it. The demon charged at her, claws extended, mouth opened wide to show rows of sharp teeth. "You dare interfere, little girl! I'll tear you apart!" She waited until the demon was almost upon her. Then, her body suddenly grew. In an instant, she transformed from a petite teenage girl into a fully mature woman, her muscles defined, her presence overwhelming. Her eyes gained intricate patterns, and a horn sprouted from her forehead. This was Nezuko's awakened demon form, the form she developed through over a year of fighting alongside her brother. The demon's attack met her raised arm and stopped dead. Then, before it could react, Nezuko grabbed it by the throat and slammed it into the ground with enough force to create a crater. "What? What are you? You're a demon too, but your scent, it's different. You haven't eaten any humans?" Her foot came down on the demon's head, pinning it in place. Then she looked at the adventurers around her, specifically at those wielding sun-steel blades, and made a gesture that was unmistakable. "Someone finish it." Shakti understood immediately. She rushed forward, her sun-steel blade flashing as it severed the pinned demon's head. "Thank you, Nezuko-san. You saved Kashima's life." She shrunk back down to her normal size and gave a polite bow, as if she hadn't just demonstrated strength that rivaled a level 4 adventurer. "That's my sister! Even as a demon, she protects humans. I'm so proud of you, Nezuko."
The sight of a demon fighting to protect humans, of Nezuko's genuine concern for the injured adventurer, sent ripples through the expedition force. Whatever fear or suspicion people had held about her vanished in that moment. Remarkable. Tanjiro, you said your sister was special, but I didn't realize just how special. With her on our side, our odds just improved significantly. But their celebration was premature. The chamber suddenly filled with an overwhelming pressure, a presence so malevolent that it made everyone's skin crawl. The remaining lower-ranked demons immediately stopped fighting and retreated, fear evident on their faces. Lower-ranked demon: No! No, no, no! Already? But we were supposed to have more time! From the passage leading deeper into the dungeon, a figure emerged. He was beautiful, inhumanly, impossibly beautiful. Dark hair, crimson eyes, pale skin that seemed to glow in the dim light. He wore elegant clothes that looked completely out of place in the dungeon's depths. And the aura of power radiating from him made even Akaza and Otter pause their battle. How tiresome. I come to check on Akaza's progress, and what do I find? My lower ranks being decimated by humans. Pathetic. Utterly pathetic. No, it can't be. Tanjiro's voice was barely a whisper, filled with more hatred and fear than Bell had ever heard from the gentle demon slayer. Muzan Kibutsuji! The name echoed through the chamber like a curse. The demon king had arrived. Ah, Kamado Tanjiro, still alive, I see. And you've brought friends. How wonderful. It saves me the trouble of hunting them down individually. I can just kill you all at once. His voice was cultured, almost bored. That's him? That's the Demon King? That's him? That's the Demon King? I can feel it. The magic. No, it's not magic. It's something else. Something ancient and terrible. That's not a creature that should exist in this world. Oh, the elf notices. How perceptive. You're right, of course. I am beyond anything your world has seen before. I am perfection, given form. I am evolution itself. And soon, I will become something even greater. He took a single step forward, and every demon in the chamber immediately prostrated themselves. Muzan-sama! Akaza, Muzan-sama, I have been testing their strongest warrior as you commanded. He is indeed formidable, but silence, Akaza. I don't recall asking for your report. Return to the depths and prepare the ceremony. I'll handle these insects myself. Yes, Muzan-sama. Even upper rank 3, the powerful demon who'd been fighting Otter to a standstill, retreated without argument. The fear in his eyes was absolute. You're not leaving. The level 7 warrior moved to intercept Akaza, but Muzan simply raised his hand. What happened next was almost too fast to see. Muzan's arm transformed, multiplying into dozens of whip-like tentacles that lashed out with impossible speed. They struck Otter before he could react, sending the Orario's strongest adventurer flying backward with enough force to crater the wall he impacted. Otar! The goddess's scream echoed through the chamber as her strongest child struggled to rise, blood pouring from multiple wounds. Muzan, impressive durability. That attack would have killed most demons, yet you survive. But you won't survive the next one. None of you will. Then, everyone, defensive formation! Prepare for... Muzan moved. In less than a second, he crossed the distance between himself and the expedition force. His arm transformed into those whip-like tentacles again, and they lashed out in every direction simultaneously. Adventurers screamed as the attacks connected.
Even high-level warriors were sent flying, their armor shredded, their weapons knocked away. Reveria, mighty lightning of judgment, gather under my staff, unleash your rage, Thor! Her most powerful lightning spell crashed down on Muzan's position, enough magic power to vaporize a floor boss. When the light faded, Muzan stood completely unharmed, not even his clothes singed. Magic. How quaint, but utterly useless against me. I've existed for over 1,000 years. I've survived assassination attempts from hundreds of demon slayers, each one more creative than the last. What makes you think your parlor tricks will work? This was hopeless. Belle could see it in everyone's eyes, the realization that they were facing something completely beyond them. One demon, one single demon was overwhelming nearly 100 of Aurario's finest adventurers. Belle, we can't win. He's too strong! No, we have to try. For everyone he's killed, for everyone he'll kill if we don't stop him here! Tanjiro rushed forward, his Nichiren blade raised high. Hinokami Kagura, burning bones, summer sun! The flaming circular slash connected with Muzan's neck, a perfect strike that should have decapitated him. Instead, the blade stopped as if it had hit solid steel. The Hinokami Kagura, how nostalgic. That technique nearly killed me 400 years ago. But I've evolved since then. Your precious sun-breathing techniques can't harm me anymore. His hand shot out faster than Tanjiro could react and grabbed the Demon Slayer by the throat. I'm going to enjoy this, watching you die slowly while your sister watches. Then I'll consume her and add her unique properties to my own. And finally, I'll reach the dragon's remains and achieve true perfection. Nezuko, run! She charged at Muzan in her awakened form, but he swatted her aside with his free hand as easily as one might swat a fly. Pathetic. Both of you are. And Ace, Ariel! Wind magic, more powerful than anything she'd used before, crashed into Muzan's side. It didn't hurt him, but it was enough to make him release Tanjiro and turn his attention to the Sword Princess. You dare! Everyone, get Tanjiro and retreat! We need to— She never finished the sentence. Muzan's tentacles lashed out again, and this time, Eyes took the full force of the attack meant for the entire expedition. She flew backward, her body limp, blood streaming from multiple wounds. Belle, Ai-san! Something broke inside Belle at that moment. Not physically, but something deeper, something fundamental. The woman he admired, the person he'd been chasing after, the Sword Princess herself, beaten in a single exchange. And she'd sacrificed herself to buy them time to escape. No! 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 His body moved before his mind could catch up. He ran toward Aiza's fallen form, tears streaming down his face. Belle, get back! Muzan. Another sacrifice? How touching. And pointless. I'll kill you too, boy. You and— He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes widening slightly. What is that smell? Belle had reached Eyes. He knelt beside her, checking for signs of life. She was breathing, barely, but alive. And as his tears fell on her wounds, something impossible happened. They began to glow. Soft, gentle light emanated from where Belle's tears touched Aiza's injuries. The wound started healing, slowly but visibly. What in the world? Belle's tears are healing her, but that's not possible. He doesn't have any healing skills in his fauna. That light, that warmth, I know that power. It can't be. The dragon's blessing should have died with its host. How does a mere human child possess? His surprise turned to hungry fascination. "You, boy, what are you? What power flows through your veins?" Bell didn't answer. He couldn't. All his focus was on eyes, on willing her to live, on pouring every ounce of his desperation into those glowing tears. And impossibly, miraculously, it was working. Eyes' eyes fluttered open. She looked up at Belle's tear-stained face and managed a weak smile. "Belkan, you're crying. Don't cry. I'm okay. Ai-san, thank the gods you're alive. I thought... Fascinating. Truly fascinating. I came here seeking the dragon's remains, but instead, I find a living vessel for its power. Boy, you're coming with me. Your blood will be far more valuable than anything I could extract from a dead dragon." He began walking toward Belle and Eyes, his intent clear. But he'd made a mistake. In his focus on Belle, he'd forgotten about everyone else. Otter, Meganjerd! The level 7 warrior appeared behind Muzan, his most powerful attack, a skill that multiplied his already legendary strength, aimed at the Demon King's neck. His sun-steel blade gleamed with deadly promise. At the same moment, attacks came from every direction. Finn, Hellfine Gas, Reveria, Vas Windheim, Bait, Hati, Tiona, Amazon, Tion, Berserk. Every high-level adventurer in the expedition unleashed their most powerful skills simultaneously. The combined assault was enough to destroy a floor boss 10 times over. When the dust settled, Muzan was still standing. But for the first time, he looked damaged. His clothes were torn, his arm was missing, and there was actually a wound on his neck from Otter's strike. "You actually hurt me. You actually managed to hurt me. Wonderful. It's been decades since anyone made me bleed. Perhaps I was too hasty in dismissing you all. Yes, you're worthy of witnessing my true power." His missing arm regenerated instantly. The wound on his neck closed, and then his body began to transform. Muscles bulging, additional mouths forming across his skin, his whip tentacles multiplying into hundreds. This is the form I used to slaughter the last generation of demon slayers. The form that killed every Hashira in a single night. Behold, this is true power. But before he could attack, the dungeon itself shook. Not from Muzan's power, but from something else, something deeper. What is that? An earthquake? No, it's not an earthquake. It's... From the passages leading to the deeper floors, a roar echoed. A sound so ancient and terrible that it made Muzan's presence feel insignificant. What? That shouldn't be possible. The dragon is dead. Its remains are just... Dead? Who told you I was dead, little demon? The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, resonating in everyone's bones. And then Belle understood. The tears that healed Eyes, the power that Muzan had sensed in him. It wasn't random. It wasn't a coincidence. When he'd received his Falna from Hestia, when he'd been blessed by a goddess, something else had happened. Something neither he nor Hestia had noticed. The dragon, the ancient being whose corpse had supposedly given birth to the dungeon, wasn't completely dead. A fragment of its consciousness remained, sleeping deep below, and Belle had somehow formed a connection with it. Dragon, young one, you who carry my tears, you who mourns for your fallen companion, I grant you my blessing. Rise and show this arrogant demon what true power looks like. Light erupted from Belle's body. not the soft glow from before, but brilliant golden light that illuminated the entire chamber. His status was updating itself without Hestia's touch, abilities manifesting that shouldn't be possible for a level 2 adventurer. When the light faded, Bell stood with eyes, now fully healed, at his side. And floating above his hand was a blade made of pure light, shaped like a dragon's fang. What is this? My gift, my power. Use it well. Protect what you cherish, and show this demon that even in death, a dragon's wrath is eternal. Muzan, this is impossible. The dragon was defeated by the ancient heroes. It shouldn't have enough power left to grant blessings. For the first time, the Demon King looked genuinely shaken. This changes everything. Bell Cranel, can you fight? Bell looked at the light blade in his hand, felt the power coursing through his veins, and thought of all the people Muzan had killed, all the families destroyed, Tanjiro suffering, Nezuko's curse. Yes, I can fight, and I'm going to end this, right here, right now. The real battle for the dungeon's fate was about to begin. Chapter 8. The Dragon's Vessel. The power flowing through Bell was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. It wasn't like leveling up. It wasn't like his skill activations. This was something primal, ancient, and overwhelming. Hestia, what's happening to you? Your fauna it's changing. New abilities are manifesting that I never blessed you with. Dragon, forgive the intrusion, little goddess. But your child impressed me with his tears. Tears shed for another, with no thought of himself. That is a rare quality in this age. He has earned my favor. The dragon's voice resonated through the chamber, and every adventurer present felt the weight of its presence, a being so ancient and powerful that even the gods had to acknowledge it. Muzan. Favor? You dare grant your favor to a child over me? I am perfection. I am evolution incarnate. I have transcended the weaknesses of humans and demons alike. You are a parasite, a disease that infects and corrupts. You mistake survival for evolution, consumption for growth. You are unworthy of my power. Muzan's face twisted with rage, the first genuine emotion Bell had seen from the Demon King besides amusement or boredom. Unworthy? I'll show you unworthy. I'll rip that boy apart and take your power by force. His transformed body lunged at Bell with speeds that shouldn't be possible. Multiple tentacles, mouths, and claws extended from his body, each one capable of killing a normal person instantly. But Bell wasn't normal anymore. "Asan, everyone, get back!" He raised the light blade and instinctively knew what to do with it. The dragon's knowledge flowed into his mind, techniques, movements, power applications that had been used thousands of years ago. Bell, Dragon's Fang, severing light. The blade extended into a slash of pure light that cut through Muzan's attacks effortlessly. The tentacles that touched the light didn't just get cut, they disintegrated completely, unable to regenerate. What? My regeneration isn't working? Dragon, my power is sunlight given form. It is life itself. Your demonic flesh cannot withstand it. This child wields the very thing you fear most. Muzan retreated, his eyes wide with what might have been fear, but then his expression shifted to fury. So what if he has your power? He's still just a level 2 adventurer. His body can't handle that kind of energy for long. I just need to outlast him. He was right. Bell could already feel the strain. His muscles burned, his head pounded, and breathing was becoming difficult. This power was too much for his current level.